Hey, everybody. Notice all these women here. This is our panel discussion today on womanhood. I collected a great group of women to sit here and talk with you and respond to your questions as well. So if you have some questions that you would like to ask them a little later in the show, please prepare them. And I'll go, I'll take a look in the chat stream. Be sure to tag me so that my name pops up, nice and bright, like you'll see there when you do the @ sign. And then that way I'll know that you have a question. All right. So let me get started here because why did we want to do the show? Let's talk about that first. Why do we want to do this? Because everywhere we go, I see womanhood is under attack. And I mean, even the very name womanhood is trying to be snatched from us by the trans agenda. And I think for African American women, the impact, there's a double line that we have to walk. Not only are we dealing with racism, we also are dealing with sexism. We also deal, the third part of that is some issues that come with colorism and the economic impact that all of those things have on us, as well as the social. There's a lot of hidden depression in amongst Black women. They don't even notice what they're doing. They just keep going, 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 going. And at some point, though, you're going to crack. And at some point, these things the things that Black women have been taught start impacting them as we go through the decades of our life in different ways. And that's what I wanted to get this collection of women together to talk about. They represent 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. So, everybody in here has a different perspective on what's going on with womanhood in their lives. And they're going to share their thoughts with you. Okay. So let me get them on. I want them to introduce themselves one at a time. The first person we're going to introduce is Chloe. Chloe is the young lady in her 20s. So hey, Chloe, introduce
Hi.
yourself to the listeners.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chloe. I'm from Houston. I'm college educated, Black woman, mainly raised by a strong group of women. As far as like my family background, and I'm not sure what else to add.
Well, we'll ask you some things as we go along.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, now let's get Denise in here. Denise, you want to do a little intro of yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I am originally from the East Coast, New York, and I am a transplant. I was married to a military person, so I ended up in the Midwest, and I'm in Missouri, Columbia, Missouri. And I just ended, well, it was actually years ago, I ended a very nasty, abusive relationship for 20 plus years. He was a malignant narcissist. And I'm learning the things that I should have learned growing up, learning self-love, learning boundaries, learning to let people know, hey, I don't have to put up with that crap.
Those are very good things to learn. Okay,
Yeah, so I feel like,
Felice.
yeah, there you go.
Let's get Felice in here. Felice, say a few lines about yourself. Let everybody know what's going on with you.
Hello, my
Okay.
name is Felice. I'm a 48-year-old and I'm single and I have no children and I have 25 years of working in financial securities. And it's just really challenging in 2020 being a woman and being Black. I never thought that it would ever come to this. It's truly very discouraging, especially in my age bracket when we grew up with the Cosbys and college and education and thinking that that's all you really needed to have and self-pride and just dignity and walk on in integrity. And nowadays it's challenged every day.
Oh, now that sounds heavy. We'll get back to that. Joyce, let's get you on here to do a little intro of yourself.
Hello, ladies. I'm Joyce. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I kind of lived all over. I actually lived in Oakland at one point, Oakland, California, and trying to get back there actually. When I graduate school, I'm in actually nursing school right now, and I was supposed to graduate in December, but this whole COVID-19 set everybody back, so it's going to be early next year. I've been following Deb for quite a while now, and I always love what she has to say about literally everything. So I'm so glad to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. And our final panelist for this morning is Roxanne. Hey, Roxanne, let's do a little intro of yourself so they know who they're talking to today.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for having me on your show, Miss Cooper. My name is Roxanne. I'm 29 years old. I'm a Jamaican English teacher, and I currently live in Jamaica, Kingston.
Wow, we got people from all over. This is
I
just great.
know.
This is absolutely fabulous. Okay, ladies, let's start off with question number one. I would like to hear from each of you in turn. What is your concept of womanhood and where do you think it originated? This is important. I know this thing's like, what kind of crazy question is that? It's important because as I've been doing this work, I have found that what women perceive to be womanhood varies greatly. It varies a lot. And there's a lot of limits that some women put on themselves because they feel like, well, because I'm a woman, I can't do that. I can't say that. I can't go where this. So I want to know from your perspective, how does that kind of concept impact you? And have you placed any of those kind of limits on yourself or have other people done that like while you were growing up? I know that's a lot. Everybody's sitting there looking at me like, what? What is she talking about? Anybody want to go first? Okay, how about you, Felice? Because you had a very interesting intro talking about, the state of womanhood and how you didn't think it would be that hard. So to me, that means you had some thoughts about how you thought it would be, but it's different now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's totally different. I was raised by my grandmother, and I was raised with my mother and my aunts and uncles. And my grandmother is a hard Christian and a hard Southern woman, and she taught us independence, how to be independent, and how to do for yourself, and how to take care of yourself. And in my early years, growing up as a young girl, she taught me the essentials: cooking, baking, working, and to get an education. And however, she didn't really talk about too much about emotions and how to uh, how to have self pride as far as like love yourself. And as I became older, I understood that womanhood is about your opinion, about independence, it's about finance, it's about how to just take care of yourself, your household, your family, as well as even in a relationship, how to be able to deal with a man in a relationship. And it could
Hmm.
be challenging.
Absolutely. Anyone want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it kind of got me to
Um,
thinking. Oh, go ahead.
the- all right. What I would like to add to that is, as a 29-year-old woman, I am just now learning what womanhood actually means. I never, growing up, I just knew the essentials: go to school, get an education. After that, you're expected to have a child. You're not really expected to marry because my culture, they don't really advocate for marriage, they advocate for children. And then you're expected to be an exemplary mother. You're also expected to take care of the baby father or the man or the husband that you're with. You're also expected to care for this man as his mother would. So there's not much. Yes, Miss Cooper, yes. And we will get into that in a later um, analysis. But the point that I'm making is I was never taught what it meant to put myself first. I was never taught the blueprint of being female, of being a woman. I was never taught to celebrate myself as a woman. I was taught to look at others, celebrate them, push them up, put them on a pedestal. I was taught that that was what womanhood was. So I save everybody without looking at what I want. That was
Woo,
what I was
that
taught.
is some, yeah, as somebody just typed in the chat, fire, and that is so true. What you got to add to that, Joyce?
Oh, well, I was gonna say, I'm trying to see if this ties back into your question. I kind of grew up where I had a lot of women in my family. My
Joyce,
mom
make sure
had.
you project a little because we're losing you a little
Oh,
bit.
okay. Okay, hang on.
You're talking softly.
Okay, what about now?
Yes, better.
Better? Okay. So I grew up in a family with a lot of women, and it was more like everything was about a man. Your whole existence was about a man. You were like not considered a woman if you didn't have kids. Your like existence in life was nothing if you didn't have a husband or a boyfriend. And I saw a lot of what the women were going through. Like they cooked, they took care of the home, they took care of men who maybe they worked, maybe they didn't, but it was like the woman is the backbone. She has to keep the family together. She has to hold everything down. And I don't know. I just remember thinking when I was a kid, I hope I never grow up to be like that. And so all these years, it was a conscious decision for me to not like lose myself or lose my identity in a man. And so I'm just kind of like, I don't care if I mean, I actually have a man now, but for the most part, I'm saying like, I don't really care if I have one or not. I've never wanted to, end up like that. I just saw that as like a weakness or something, if that makes sense.
No, it does absolutely. And little Chloe, what do you have to add to this?
And then like with womanhood, like as far as in society, it's deemed as like weak. Where as women, I feel like we should be like we are we have like a what is it? We're in tune with our emotions in a way that's like vilified. I feel like womanhood is being self-sufficient. We are self-sufficient. We take care of other people before we take care of ourselves. I see that all the time. I still see that with the women in my family. I've done that. I watched a beautiful, gorgeous woman wait around like my father was in and out. And I remember at one point she told me, she was like, this had been decades. I was waiting for someone to show up. And women, we do that. We show up and we make things happen and we don't get credit. And if no one else will give us the credit, it doesn't help to also not be confident in who we are and what we do and what we contribute, because we contribute a lot. And
oh, absolutely.
That's, like my viewpoint on womanhood for the most part. And especially Black women, it's like, oh, please, help save us. But at the same time, you want to bash us. It's like, pick a side, choose a side.
Girl, tell it.
Yeah.
They like bipolar. Okay,
Yeah.
what's your thought on this, Denise?
I'm blown away by what everybody's saying because I'm just floored because wow. Yeah, so on one hand, you're supposed to be a giver, giver, give. Put yourself last. That's what women do. That's what ladies do. It's not about you. It's about taking care of everybody else. And we neglect ourselves in the process. And it takes a really long time, at least in my view, it's taking me a long time to undo that twisted thought process. It's kind of like being on an airplane. They tell you to put oxygen on yourself first if the plane's
Right.
going down, and then you put oxygen on the child. And that's how it's supposed to be. You're not good for anybody else if you don't take care of yourself. But it's really, even my grandmother had that mentality. A friend of mine who was just a guy friend, we went to Martha's Vineyard to see my family, and she wanted me to wait on him hand and foot. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to argue with my grandmother because I don't want to get knocked out. But
good point.
Right. Go ahead and get him something to drink, get him something to eat, do this, do that. And I'm thinking to myself in the back of my mind, well, shoot, I wouldn't mind being waited on. That'd be cool. You know what I mean?
So as you ladies, these are very interesting points about people teaching you toxic womanhood. When you reflect back, where did you get those messages though? Who told you that that's how you had to be? Do you know? Or is it just something that you just absorbed and you aren't really sure of the source?
I feel like I absorbed it. My mother was like the term I like to use called male identified. My mother was that for a very long time, and then she kind of saw the error of her ways after a while, and so she started. My mom used to teach me stuff that you would like teach your, I don't know, 19-year-old daughter, but I was 7 or 8 years old. So she used to put this stuff in me. But so when she got to a certain age, she started realizing, okay, this ain't it, you know. And so she stopped being so, I guess, foolish or weak for a man. But I watched her, I watched all my aunties, I watched my grandmother. So I kind of absorbed it, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Chloe?
The thing about that is interesting. Like my grandmother, she's, you know, traditionally Southern woman, and I felt like she was very male identified. So that my mother, she was really repelled by that. But at the same time, it's like you see it from all these different, and you see it within your community, how women navigate through their womanhood. I don't know. It's just kind of like a general thing that you sort of watch, and then you kind of get your own, you know, ideas and views of it. But
so you're watching these examples basically, and you're emulating this behavior.
Yeah, or you are repelling it. Like for instance, my grandmother, she's very male-minded. Like an example that was previously given, but my mom, she isn't, but then she has some of those traits, like it's hard to explain, and I don't know if it's a cultural thing. Like if somebody comes over, she's going to be cooking all of this stuff, she's going to be trying to be a gracious host. And me, on the other hand, I'm like, well, you know, you can have a cup of water and you can get out.
And you want something, go in the refrigerator and get it. That's what happens in my house.
You know, yeah. So, and it's weird because I wasn't raised to be, I feel like I felt like I was around a lot of strong women that also had their own issues. And I picked up on some things, and other things I did pick up, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Now, Roxanne, I'm really interested to hear your perspective on this because you're coming from a different culture, different country. When you mentioned, you know, the kind of things that all the women would do for men, was that specifically taught to you, or again, were you like Chloe and kind of absorbed it just from observation?
Well, I was specifically taught. Some of the things that I was taught, and I mean, as old as I am now, was that one, you have to be able to not be that confident around a man. So do not be too opinionated, or else the man will be intimidated and he will run. And you do not want to allow the man to run. So you're supposed to be subtle, and you're supposed to, you know, try to bridge the gap for what the man doesn't have, right? I was told that. Another interesting thing that I was taught was that all men cheat, all of them. So if you're with a man and he cheats, but he takes care of you, and you know that he has 2 or so baby mothers out there and all of that, you know, during the relationship, don't mind it, because if you leave that man, you're going to get another one who is worse. So my dear, just try to make it. I was taught that.
Oh my goodness.
And when I began repelling it, it's as if there was nothing else to say to me, and some persons dropped my company as well. I remember a friend, high school, I met her, and you know, we just became close friends. I do not have my father in my life, my biological father. He chose not to be in my life. All right. So my mother remarried, and you know, my stepfather and her. But in terms of having a father figure, that's not there. So this girl, she and I identified. No, she got pregnant, I think last year. And at the christening, she said to me, "It's your turn." She's not married. Her baby father has 2 other children. So her baby is number 3. And she turned to me and said, "You're next, your turn." And I said, "No, I'm not ready for a child." And she said, You're a teacher. You're my age. You're 28 at that time. What are you waiting on? And persons around me would see what I've achieved and they're saying, you need one, a baby.
These
You
people are
need
sick.
one. You need one. You know, what are you going to do when the man leaves? You need a child. So I was taught these things.
So let me get some comments from, that's just unbelievable. I'm just, ooh. Let me see what you got to say, Denise, and then we'll hit you up, Felice.
Oh my gosh!
That's
Wow.
some sick, twisted stuff.
I, wow. Wow. I'm flabbergasted. That just blows my mind because I don't know. I wasn't taught anything about men or relationships or anything. I mean, I was taught, my upbringing was like drill sergeant. She was a drill sergeant and he was a drill sergeant. This is what the rules are. This is how it's going to go down. So there was no advice. They equated abuse with parenting. So everything I learned in life, I was very naive, obviously, because I wasn't taught anything, you know, and it's just my advice that I got, the advice or what I was told about men was, you better not come up in here pregnant.
Yep, that was
Okay.
yep.
That was it, you know.
That's
And
it.
when it came, and yeah, that was it. And so far as, and you know, the obviously your mother has to have the mother-daughter talk. You know, you have your monthly thing. This is what's going to happen to you every month. This is what you need to do for it, and that's that. So everything that I learned the hard way. I was naive. I didn't have any social skills. I wasn't allowed to hang with friends. So I feel like, you ever watch the Friends? We watched the the Prince
Fresh Prince
of
of
Bel.
Bel Air.
Yeah, thank you. Mike got tongue tied. You know the front of the show where they pick him up and throw him out the door like a suitcase. That's how my life was. I was picked up and chucked into life. Figure it out.
My
Wow.
God. Okay,
Wow.
Felice.
Oh, wow. It's totally different for me. My grandmother taught me at 6. I remember there was a ice cream truck and there was a guy who bought ice cream for everyone and I didn't get any. And I was so upset. And she was so upset that I was upset and I got like a whooping. And she taught me never to beg a man for nothing. If I don't have it, work for it. And throughout my life, like when I would date, she'll give me extra money, put it in my bra. If he act up, get in a cab. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of adapted that attitude of super independence. I mean, in my 20s, I was a mess when I think about it, because when it involved a man and they had these, or they would want me to do some things. And I was like, no, I'm okay. And I would just walk off and leave. And actually, they call me the runaway bride because I've been engaged a few times and I walked away from the relationships. And it's not something that I could say that I'm proud of or, oh, yeah, I just walked away from them. I just knew that it wasn't good. And as much as you walk away, it's hard to walk away. It's not easy, even though it seemed like it's easy to walk away from a man and go, okay, I'm going to be single. It's very challenging because you love that man, but you make a decision and go, okay, this is not working for me.
Right.
And once my grandmother have taught me, when you stand up for something, and if you fall for anything, when you do stand up for something, sometimes you find yourself alone. And I could believe that because
Absolutely.
it's challenging.
I think a lot of women too don't have, because of the indoctrination that they need a man and that they're nothing without a man, they will stay in situations like you described. And that's why they don't have the courage to walk away, because they feel like they will be a failure of at womanhood and everyone will mock them. Not understanding that, a broken engagement is way easier than a divorce. When you got
Mhm.
Absolutely.
kids
Yeah.
and you got to split up the dogs and the house and all this other stuff, the bills, it's very easier to do it on the front end than on the back. It just makes way more sense. Let me see if anyone's got a question in here before I move on. Now I think they're just very impressed with you ladies. That's what I think. So now looking at where you are right now, what do you think in your past decades, what were the biggest challenges that you overcame? Of course, the older women here will have more perspective than you two newbies at this.
Mm-mm-mm.
So let's see. Let's start with Denise this time. Denise, what do you think? If you reflect over your decades of life, what were the 3 biggest challenges that you faced?
Well, there's a couple of really big ones.
Make sure you
You know,
speak up so we can hear you
okay,
well.
okay. With the second husband, I was determined to be a better wife than I was the first time, and I'm determined to give more, and I'm determined to overlook a lot because he's paying the bills and all this other stuff. And there were red flags in the beginning. 20 plus years is a huge chunk out of your life to be with a terrible person. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that. You're like, okay, you're smart, you're articulate. How can you not know that person was a terrible person? Well, because they don't wear a sign on their forehead that says, I can't be trusted. I'm a narcissist. How, nice to meet you. They present with the false self, and you get sucked into that, and they can keep that going for years. Plus he was a over the road truck driver. So every time we saw each other, it's like a honeymoon all over again. So there's a lot he was able to hide. And then when I finally got the courage to be done with him, it's devastating, but it's also empowering because I'm finally I'm no longer, overlooking things. I'm finally standing my ground. I'm finally saying, you know what, I'm up to here with it. I'm done. I cannot do this anymore. So then he's in love with his money. That's his wife. And I'm divorced now, and I'm disabled, and I lost my career. I had a near fatal car accident when I was in my 20s, and it's a miracle that I'm here. And
Oh,
I worked regardless of chronic pain. I did 2 spins on ice on a bridge, and the second spin I had the sensation of falling off the bridge, and I waited to hit water, and that didn't happen, but I was unconscious for a few minutes, and to this day I have no clue how we got to the hospital. Me and my best friend were in the car. So that I was still able to work regardless of chronic pain. And then in 2006, as soon as I got my career going, my body said, we're done. I'm like, no, we're not done because I've got bills to pay. I've got bills to pay. So dealing with facing reality that this is my new normal. I'm disabled. It's not going anywhere. I have fibromyalgia. It's not going anywhere. This is my life, and I just have to roll with it. Treat the disease like disorder, whatever you want to call it. Treat it like it's your friend, which most people would say, your friend, it's trying to ruin your life. Listen to it. When it says that's enough, you've pushed it too far, then you have to listen, or else it's going to get worse. So, and trying to get money from him regardless of the court system. He doesn't care what the court says. And he told me the other day, he had the nerve to tell me, after everything I put up with for 20 plus years, and he was a chronic cheater, by the way, he
oh my
said,
God.
I
So
said,
you
I
got
need more.
about 10 things you had to put up with.
Oh Lord. So I said, I need more money because, he breadcrumbs me financially because he gets off on the power. I don't care that you're disabled. You need to get about 5 jobs and do what you got to do. That's his mentality. I said, I need more money from you. And he said, and I can't believe it, I was blown away, it seems like you want me to carry you.
Well, hold that thought. Let me get I'm gonna get Joyce up here. Joyce, what is your comment on that? Say 3 things that you have found to be the biggest challenges that you have faced thus far in your life as a woman.
I would say the first thing was getting out of my teen years and into my late 20s without getting knocked up. But no, I say that only because that was like a thing in my mom's house. Like when the young lady said earlier, just don't get pregnant, don't have no babies. And it wasn't really hard for me at all. It's just everybody expected that of me. Because I kind of grew up in the system a little bit. Like my mom was in my life my whole life, but I used to run away and, skip school and all that stuff. So I got in trouble. So everybody expected me to not turn out good. And I kind of escaped all of that without a scratch, because I never got knocked up. I didn't get into drugs. I wasn't out here in the streets, or anything like that. I went to school and, I just kind of traveled a lot and just kind of did my thing. But I don't think most of the people in my family, except my grandmother, would say, I don't think any of them expected me to turn out the way I have. And I think that was probably the biggest challenge, which was like proving everybody wrong. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. You
Good for
know.
you.
Yeah.
What about you, Felice?
The biggest challenge of my life was in 2015. I lost my mom on my birthday. And then right after that, my cousin passed. And then after that, my auntie passed. And after that, the next year, my dad passed. Then after
Oh
that,
my God.
another aunt passed. Then after that, my uncle passed. Then after that, my grandmother passed. From 2015 to 2018, I lost my whole entire family. And that has been the biggest challenge of that happening. But I have learned how to live with and understand that you never get over it. You just deal with it.
Right.
And that has been like one of the biggest challenges of, of my life. I'm in my 40s and that happens because at 48, we go through changes. And there's some things that you want to talk to about your parent, about your mother, like
Mm-hmm.
menopause.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Right.
want to be able to you have questions, and not everybody's going to be open or give you the advice that maybe your mother will give you or your grandmother will. It's a different question, and it's a different sentiment that they give to you. And just advice, just women advice. You go through things. I'm having gray hair. I want to call and go, oh, I got a gray hair. And and also turning 48, it's like, oh my God, I never thought like the changes you go through. They say the new 40 is a new 30. They lying. It's not the new 30. Your mind changes, your body changes. You no longer think with your body like you used to in your 20s and your 30s. You're thinking with your mind. And it's a
Heck yeah.
totally different type of thing that you can never imagine because you're like, I used to, but I don't.
Yeah. No.
So it's interesting, but that has been like the biggest challenge.
And I would say I'm very sorry to hear that. I know that was hard on you, but you're looking at you. You must have a resilience that is just some amazing stuff going on there, girl.
It's
Mhm.
God.
'Cause your eyes are still bright, you know.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You look at her. You know what I mean? She still has like life in her. So that
That's right.
shows a spirit that is just all over. I knew I was picking a good panel. See, okay. Let me get your take, Roxanne. What do you think? What are your biggest, one, two, three challenges that you've experienced thus far in your young years as a woman?
All right. The three biggest challenge for me, not to make the statistics. So, as I mentioned before, I didn't have my father in my life. He doesn't play any part at all from even before I was born up until this point. So, the stats and the surveys have, and the research as well, it's numerous. The type of challenges, the type of issues that children, and specifically girls, go through on a daily basis, not having their fathers around, is, it's difficult, not knowing the type of relationships to accommodate, not understanding body language in terms of a man, not knowing when I'm settling versus when I am. So it posed a challenge. So I made up in my mind to not become a statistic, not to become a single mother myself. And so I disengage from persons who would encourage me to, yeah, man, just have a child, even though you don't know who will take care of the child, even though you don't have a father for the child, have a child. I cut those persons off completely. All right. Because
Oh,
since the
look at
COVID
you.
19, the
Mhm.
media has shed light on numerous, about 200 single mothers here in Jamaica, and they were literally begging the Jamaican society for food. They just wanted food because they lost their jobs, and some of them were laid off. And we realized that they were surviving on about 49 US dollars per month. They were living
Wow.
below the threshold, the poverty thresholds. And I made up in my mind to continue with not being subjected to being a single mother.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that I had to overcome was being self-aware. I struggled to find my place in the world. I struggled to find my place in friendships. I was naive. I did not know how to decipher or discern, groups of people. I did not know what was good for me, who was good for me. I had to learn the hard way. So I had to learn to be self-aware by cutting off persons who were toxic. And no, I have no friends. I'm not in a relationship. I'm in the best time of my life. I'm just sitting down and getting to know myself. I'm closing out the world. I'm tuning in what makes Roxanne Roxanne. What do I want? Where am I going? What have I learned about the past strings of failed toxic relationships, right? So that's number two. Number three, I'm overcoming not having positive matriarchs in my life who do not want me to repeat the cycle, the toxic cycle that they repeated. I'm finding that difficult because even if I have work colleagues and, most of them are married, but they are the sole breadwinners in their marriages. And they would tell me, oh, your standards are too high, lower your standards a little, you know lower the standards a little, you need to do more. And I'm saying, but how much more can I do when my standards are here? Why is it so difficult, or why is it so, why is it unfair for me to want to find someone who is matching me or even above? So I'm trying now to find positive matriarchs out there, whether face to face or online, who can say to me, I made this mistake, but my dear, you do not have to go down that path. I'm struggling to find women who are honest enough to say, I did not set out to have 4 or 5 kids. I wish I had one, other than encouraging me to go ahead and just have them and God will provide. No.
That's the biggest mess up for young women.
Yes.
So
Oh,
Chloe, what's your story? That was very, because both of you guys are, in your 20s.
Well, for me, challenges have been like the first one is gaining confidence and just being I guess more in tune with myself. Growing up, it was weird for me because before moving to Houston, I grew up in cities and towns in Texas that didn't have very many people that looked like me. So coming to Houston was like a culture shock because growing up, I don't know, I had this weird thing where I wanted to be very connected to the opposite sex. My father was very much in and out of my life due to a drug problem. So it was hard coming to a place where other people look like you and then watching them also mistreat each other, from things to like guys beating up on girls, running trains on girls and stuff like that, and trying to avoid things like that. And I'm thankful for that. And also gaining my own confidence and independence. My second challenge is not wasting like my youth and my pretty on like stupid men
Ooh.
who are men, they will boys will waste your time. And then they'll come back around again and they'll hate you and they'll be like, I want to just sit around and waste your time. And I've had situations like that back to back. For example, in my early 20s, Miss Cooper, it's funny. It's really weird and unfortunate, but I started listening to you and I stopped listening to you. It got me out of a really bad relationship with somebody who was emotionally abusive and would use religion as a way to dangle marriage on his stick. But just, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. I guess you could say I'm a bit of an I'm not atheist, but I believe that there's a higher power, and that would piss him off. And then he would just go on a tirade. He would sling mud about my family and things like that. And then after dating him, unfortunately, I started dating somebody who I trauma bonded with. So he found a way to trauma bond about his ex with me about the situation I had gone through. And for like the past 4 years, there was a tornado of that where I got assaulted by a group of girls. I got jumped by a group of girls due to him and his actions. Recently, someone he cheated on me with, she caused damage to my car. So she took a bat to my car.
Oh,
Just crazy things. He scratched my mother's car. We let him into our home after he got kicked out, and just kind of not, it's like vetting people. I know that's just so, but like listening to what their ideas and their views are before investing time.
Right.
And then also my third challenge last year, I got really, really sick, to the point of where I couldn't keep any food down. And I had, come to find out, I had cysts on my ovaries, due to person's past messing with someone who, or being in a relationship with somebody who was messing around with other people and was doing salacious stuff. And I had to go to the hospital and deal with some of what women in the media, what's been discussed in the media about Black women and their reproductive health. When you try to go and you say, hey, I'm in pain, this is happening to me. I had to go to like 2 or 3 different places before I got admitted into the hospital for a week, to get these cysts drained from that were on top of my ovaries. And they were like, if you hadn't come sooner or later, you would have died. These would have exploded and would have contaminated your blood. So just being kind to myself, being just listening to things that my grandmother and my mother told me long ago, instead of trying to be so focused on being boy crazy and keeping people around who are toxic, pretty much. So those are
Well,
my
I'll
3.
add mine in there too. You guys know about, having to deal with, I was like your age, 29, when my husband got killed in a car accident. And I haven't remarried. I just don't see any reason to. I haven't met anybody that I think is even halfway his caliber. So I'm not going to do that. I think another challenge, I was a lot closer to my grandmother than I was my mother, as far as learning how to cook and having somebody to talk to and stuff like that. That was her. And when she died, I was broke up for 5 or 6 years. It took me to where I would be crying in my sleep. It affected me a lot more deeply than I thought it would. And I think my third biggest challenge with being a woman is the constant assault on my autonomy and my ability to make decisions in my own best interest. It
Amen.
never fails. There's always some man trying to tell you what to do, how to do it, what you need to do with your face. I mean, complete strangers telling you what to do and how to do it. And so many, even in a relationship, um, they try to do that kind of stuff. And like I said, even complete strangers, it comes from everywhere. Everybody thinks they know what women need, and they never ask us. They make
thank you.
laws that impact us. They throw religion down our throat. They tell us all these things that we better do to be a quote good girl and all this stuff. So when you are battling all of those things, trying to find your way, it's a miracle that any of us make it to the other side. You got to think every woman who's gone through that and gets to her 40s or something, feeling good and complete about herself, she there's some strengths there that I think a lot of you don't really appreciate about yourselves. You just focus on the negative, but look at all the stuff that you got past and how you still smiling. You still talking, you still look great. Every one of you looks, they were saying, well, God, did you have to be good looking to get on this panel?
Hey, Deb, I wanted to, Deb, I just wanted to interject real quick. Um, if y'all notice, there's a million rules for women and there's no rules for men.
Amen. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Okay? You need
Yes.
to walk this way. You need to talk this way. You need to wear this kind of makeup. Don't wear that lipstick. That's really loud. Men don't like that. Don't wear that kind of nail polish. Don't raise your voice. Don't talk like that. It's masculine. You need to be a delicate flower blowing in the wind and just take men's stuff. And they don't have to have any rules and regulations. Wrong.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree.
So Felice, tell me, one of the things that comes up a lot is, the impact of being a single mother, and the single mother issue, as far as it being impactful socially, emotionally, and financially. As you have a background in finance, and I know you've seen this kind of situation, is there any tips you can give women for managing money better? If they're going to be a single woman and get into their 30s, buy property or whatever, or they have children, they want to provide for their education and this and that as they grow up. Do you have, just some quick down and dirty
Yes,
money management tips?
absolutely. My thing to women, and I tell everybody that I meet, instead of buying them like designer stuff, buy them shares of stock. If they like Nike, buy Nike stock. If they like uh whatever it may be, because guess what? The return on your investment is greater than buying a pair of sneakers, because at some point the sneakers is going to go in the trash. One. Two, I tell women every day, especially in this economy that we're in and a cashless society that they're trying to promote, is that every time you use cash, whether it's 10, 20, or 5, and you have singles, take your single-dollar bills and put it to the side, put it to a box, just in case if something happened in a society like you can't use your credit cards, at least you have cash and dollar bills, because if you're bartering and you're buying services and goods, if you have singles, you don't have to worry about not getting change. So that's an excellent thing to do.
Ooh, look at
Also,
Felice go.
also I tell women, especially now, like with finances, like I'm in 48 and I'm looking towards retirement, and we never know what this administration is going to do. Like, try to save 10% so of your salary and just put it away. Um, I don't want to promote a particular kind of bank, but there is an online bank that you can actually put your money in, and your interest is so great, because you'll get, like, sometimes in regular banks you get like two, not 0.22%, but in this online bank you can at least get like $20 of interest on the money that you have, and it starts to accumulate as time goes on. So if you look at just different ways of just putting your money in different institutions is great. And even for us, let the designer stuff go. It's not necessary. I realize, and because of all the things that I face, and I deal with mortality every day, that these things we have, we're just borrowing them. It's really not that serious, and it's just better to have a fulfilled life and enjoy life and just save. Save, but enjoy while saving.
Right.
And younger people, you want, especially as women, and I promote this, self-independence, being reliable on yourself. I'm not saying that,
Yep.
I'm anti-man. I love black men, definitely. I just wish they would get their stuff together. However, save your money. Start saving so that you can be able to provide a lifestyle. Things are changing. It's no longer the way I used to know it. It's going into a different spend now. So we got to have cash money, and to also be conscious about your credit, because credit make a difference. So instead of us just spending all we have, take 10%. So if you make $1,200, right? 200, put that to the side, don't touch it. Make sure that if you have these plans of IRAs, or if you have 401k, definitely invest. If you can buy homes, buy homes. You don't have to wait for a man to come around and buy a home. There's so many programs in your state. Take advantage of it. Try to be the best you, and especially in this pandemic that we're in, come out better than you came in. And just take
Ooh,
time and just
powerful.
just self-love. It's
Yeah.
just so sad that women in my age category, I'll just say myself, I'm just learning how to really like love on me, and how to really enjoy who I am as a woman. And in this pandemic, being single, you have the opportunity, well, I had the opportunity to look in the mirror, and the mirror is a reflection. You see your good, your bad, the indifference. And if you're a conscious person and you want to be a better you start to see the things that you don't like, and you start to change those things that you don't like, and try to become better at them. Even just your language, how we talk to ourselves, the things that we say, we got to be careful.
Right.
How we say them
Right.
is how they become. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to change that language and have more positive things to say, and don't live
Uh-oh.
The
Something
connect.
unfun happened.
Uh,
Okay. While we wait for Felice's camera to catch up, Joyce, what do you think about what Felice just said?
Um, I think everything she said is dead on. I love listening to people like her because people like that always give you another perspective. And I'm a sponge. I love learning stuff. So um, that's one thing that just made me think of one of the things I wish I was taught growing up was financial literacy, because my mom didn't know anything about it, so she couldn't teach us, so just hearing her is so refreshing. So I'm just glad I, took that in.
And that's the main thing. You two in your 20s, really make sure that you understand, start saving for your retirement now.
Mm.
Because we don't know, they raiding the Social Security coffers like it's just the thing to do. So the money you put into it may not be there. Oh, Felice is back. There she is. It may not be there. So Felice had some very, very good points there. Start making that happen. I wish I had done more of that. I did some, but I would be like, oh, I don't feel like working for 6 months. I'm going to travel around the East Coast.
Yes.
And that's what I would do. And then I'm like, oh, I want to go to Mexico for a month. Okay, bye, job. I'll get another one when I come back. Let me get my retirement money out of there and go and get over here and do what I need to do. So I have a lot of great memories, a lot of great trips, a lot of great experiences that I'm able to call on for this, what I'm doing now. But when I think about all the money that I waste, I'm like, did I have to really do all of that? Did I have maybe done half of that and then still had some of my money in the bank? But
Well, I saved some money. I'm in the process of saving money. My goal is to become a life coach. So I am saving and saving and saving and saving. It's not much, but it's going to add up over time. And that's because I got to take this power away from this individual. I've got to
so
do
you
it.
guys, we're going to go through and each one of you kind of tell me what this phrase means or how you apply it. Everybody says, well, before anybody else can love you, you have to love yourself.
Yep.
You have to love yourself.
Yep.
Think about how you have treated yourself in accord with, how you were raised and what changes you are making in order to love yourself now that you did not make or things you did not do prior. Let's start with you, Chloe, the baby of the group.
By listening to myself, when I notice that there's something that's just not right, instead of being complacent, being okay to be like, it's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to be alone in what you believe. That's right. Also, I used to be I'm working on it. I'm probably still a little bit materialistic, but like treating myself, but also in substitute of that, treating myself to like experiences,
right,
and being kind to myself and not beating up on myself, and realizing that like I have a lot that I'm like thankful for and that a lot of other people would want and would like to have. So, I guess that's my, if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else, or how is somebody going to love you, mantra.
Okay, that sounds good. What about you, Joyce?
I definitely agree with that phrase. I think that we teach people how to treat us based on how we treat ourselves. So, and that just kind of makes me think back to this sort of toxic relationship I was in before the one I'm in now. And there's just so much stuff that I absolutely will not tolerate that I did in the last relationship. So it's just things like that. I had to stick to my guns about not having children because I've never wanted children. So I've stuck to that no matter what relationship I was in, no matter what was going on, like no kids, right? And just maintaining my own independence. I grew up in a Christian household, even though I don't really identify with any religion at all. So that's been tough, kind of like dealing with people that, look at you sideways just because you don't, go to church or whatever. But for me, it's just like just being true to myself and just shutting out all the noise and not caring what anyone has to say about how I live my life, where I'm going to go, what I want to do. And I'm very unapologetic about pretty much every aspect of my life. And so,
oh, if only every woman could be that way, we would rule the world. We would
Yes.
rule it. Let me get your take, Roxanne. Then I'm gonna go to you, Felice.
All right, for me, I seek out persons that I know love themselves, because if the phrase says, you have to love yourself, right? But if I wasn't shown love or taught how to love myself or see anyone doing it, how will I know? So what I had to do was to seek out those persons online, because I don't see that here. And I found persons who practice self-love. And one of the key things that they do is they're compassionate towards themselves. So the type of healthy friendships that I desire to have. So for example, they do this. If you're in a sticky situation and you're unable to come out, or you made maybe a stupid mistake or something, what do you think your friend, your best friend, healthy best friend would say to you? And so I take that on. So I say, I'm not feeling my best today. I wonder what would my best friend say to me? So I know that the best friend that I desire would never ever dare say, well, you're lazy. You need to do this. You need to be perfect. You need to get this done. You need to live up to this person's expectations. How dare you think that you need to rest? No. So I pay attention now to being, compassionate towards myself. And I pay attention to how I speak to myself and the tone that I use to myself, because I now understand that I am loved. And I am loved, and nobody can take that away from me now.
I
Oh,
love
that's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, I love
Okay, what
it.
do you say, Felice?
Well, I'm learning to love on me and not to do too much, because sometimes I've did too much in friendships and relationships, and I'm learning to understand that it takes a give and take, and that my biological clock is not ticking, because as long as the clock is ticking, I still got time. And as well as just I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, okay, I'm single, I don't have no children. It's challenging to meet a particular kind of man that's not uh uh envious of some of the things that I may have, or he want to challenge me. But however, guess what? I have life. So I'm learning to take this life on and enjoy every moment of it, enjoying my home, enjoying having good health, and just not worrying about having a man in my life, but just having life itself, because it's actually beautiful. I don't go to bed with no heartaches. I don't wake up with no headaches. And I'm just learning to smile a little bit more.
Oh,
And
good for
if he comes
you.
around, if he comes around, great. And if he doesn't, because the reality is some of us will get married and some of us will not. Some of us may stay single and some may not. However, can you still live and live life and love life if you don't get that? And
Yes.
guess what? We still have to live
Yes.
without it or with
Yes.
it. So let's just enjoy it, because
Church.
this life is it can be short. It can be, as long as it can be as short as it is. But while we're in it, embrace some things, and touch some people's lives, not necessarily all the time a man, but there's some experiences out here that is so great that you may change a person's life by what you say and what you do. And
That's right.
that's really about the just. Oh, also flags. I've learned to look and realize, and not to give people not to see the potential in the person,
Mm,
because I realize that when you see potential,
mm,
that means that what you're seeing is untapped successes.
Mm,
So if
mm.
I got to look
right.
for your
That's
potential,
right.
then we can't really deal, because I'm not building a bear. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Amen.
daughter
I
worked
just
at Build a Bear Workshop, and I'm telling you,
That's right.
no,
so that's it.
No.
Nope.
We having church up in here today.
it
Sorry.
is. It is very much so.
Uh,
Well, I do want to talk to you guys about let's turn the direction a little bit and talk about women in relationships.
Mm.
And I think we all have our stories to tell about being involved with some narky fool or somebody who turned out to be a huge disappointment after, you know, he presented himself one way, then he rips off that sheepskin and then that wolf jumped out. But as you reflect on your relationships, what would you say were 2 or 3, I don't know, up to 5, if we try to, you know, move this along, of red flags that you didn't notice, but now you do, and you want to warn other women to look for? Red flags that you saw or you became aware of after you was in the relationship. Oh yeah, I should have known that that meant this. I should have known that that meant this. Oh, when he did that, it meant this. Oh shoot, I'm out. You know, that kind of thing. What can you say that you are now aware of?
I got one right off the top of my head that my mama used to always say to me. And she said, if a guy calls you a bitch, sorry, can we say that word?
Well, it's too late now.
Oh, I'm sorry. If a guy calls you the B word or a H or whatever, just know that a punch to the face is right around the corner.
Ooh.
And she said it always gets worse.
Yes.
Whatever you let a guy get away, whatever you let a man get away with, he's gonna try it. It's gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse.
That's right.
And I went with my last relationship. I was always like, you know, anybody who called me out my name, I'm done, I'm out, you know. And so he called me a B. And I was like, you a B. You know, I actually was like thinking I was tough because I was calling him, calling him names back. Like, you know, I ain't finna just sit here and let you call me out my name, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I would say probably within a couple weeks, we got into an argument and he shoved me into a wall. And I left the relationship, like, I would say probably about a month after that. And that was only because I was looking for another house. But my mom was right. And also too, when it comes to like family members and friends, it's always been the exact same pattern. Like they call you out your name, you let them get away with it. And it's so sad because with men, it's like when you forgive them, it's almost the same as letting them get away with it. Because a lot of times guys don't really learn their lesson. They don't really appreciate you until you're gone. As long as you're there, they're going to keep treating you like crap. And it's so sad because you got to leave and you can't go back, because if you go back, the behavior, you know, they'll change for 2 seconds and they always end up going back to their, you know, original course of conduct. And so you really just have to leave and just be done with it. And I definitely learned that lesson.
Joyce, one of the things I think that is the hardest for women to accept, and, you know, I've been called names for having this position. Men don't do nothing by accident. Right. Nothing they do is accident. Every single thing they do to you, they meant to do it. So many women cannot, they can't accept that. They're like, well, you know, but he didn't mean it though. Yes, he did.
No, he
meant it. You don't just sit around thinking of foul names to call somebody.
That's right.
That was in him already. That is who he is. To think that he's talking to the woman that he's supposed to love like that.
Amen.
And you want to blow it off by saying, well, he didn't mean it, or well, he apologized. He meant every word of it. It was a test.
A test. Yep.
You know, to see what you're going to take and how far he can go. The second they do that stuff, you got to be done with them.
Yep.
That's second. It's like, nope, this is whatever this is. This was over. This is over. I'm telling you, one day queen.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. And then I'm done.
Yep.
I broke up with a guy and I really liked this dude too. And it was our 3rd date. Because I was in Black Enterprise at one point. They had done this interview with me and everything, and he saw it, and he's like, and he had this tone, and he's like, oh, you think you all that because you was in Black Enterprise. And I knew at that second that this relationship was over. Because you're not going to try to denigrate any accomplishment that I have. You're not going to say nothing other than that was great, baby. That's the only thing you get to say. And so he said that, and he said it in this tone, and I was like, So after we finished eating, guess who ain't never seen that fool anymore? And he didn't have to call me out of my name or anything, but I knew what that tone meant and where that was going to go. And it was going to try to put me on a defensive about being the great, grand, and wonderful individual that I deemed myself to be and was striving to be. And you trying to throw salt on it. You got to go.
Yeah. And honestly, to me, jealous men, there's something latent homosexual, it's
Yes.
like that's a red flag.
Yes.
That's a red flag. If you're like a jealous man, and because I dated somebody who I would get compliments, and he would be like, "Oh, her, she just not, she just, any old
Wow.
body," and it's like,
Wow.
I'm
What?
your girlfriend. You should be like, yeah, that's boo, but it's like you're jealous because you're not getting any compliments. That's some. That's a side
Yeah.
eye. That's a red
Yeah.
flag. Jealous men who want to compete with you. I'm not a
Mhm.
man. I'm not a man. Men who I could go on and on about red
Right.
flags. That's the
Well,
topic
let's
of
do
the day.
round robin
Red
because I would like
flags.
everybody
You
to
know.
contribute 3 things. Because, like I
Yeah.
said, you guys were chosen for what you put on your thing, but also because of the age groups that you represent. So, what I may have experienced in my life, little Chloe probably hasn't even been, she hasn't happened that yet because she, hasn't been through those decades yet. So, each one of you, I would like you to contribute 3 red flags to the listeners. And each one of you, I'm sure, are going to have something very different to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
Go ahead.
Who got one?
All
I got
right.
another one.
Oh, I
Okay.
have one.
Go ahead.
Oh, I kind of feel like if a guy asks you to trying to PG this up real quick, invite another woman into your situation, he don't really
Yeah.
like you that much.
Right.
He ain't that into you.
That's right.
yeah.
I saw that, Denise.
I be doing immediately, and I've been asked that a few times in my life. I mean, talked to a few guys, and I knew then, nope, this ain't gonna work. You don't even like me. Like, I feel like if a guy is really into you and he really wants to be with you, first of all, he don't want to share you with a woman or a man.
Ever. And even
Ever.
with your own mama.
Nobody.
That's right. That's
And
right.
also, you're just a fun time, or whatever he got going on in his life, he sees you as a fun time. This is why I always get so angry when women, unless you are a woman that's into that anyway, I guess maybe that's fine. I don't know if you're into that, but if you are not, I see so many women give into that because they think, oh, I gotta please my man, or what you won't do, another woman will, and all that stuff. And it's like I've never seen that end well for anybody. I've never seen that,
Never.
So I always tell women that's a red flag. He really don't take you that serious, even if he married to you. Like, he wants out because he's basically telling you you're not enough, whether you realize it or not. That's just my own personal.
No, and this is why I wanted to have this panel. So, Denise, what do you say? What do you contribute to this? And we can come back to you guys if you think of more.
One thing that I noticed, not right away because he's trying to pretend to be a nice guy, mood swings all over the place, like an EKG machine. Nice me, nice me, nice me. You have no idea what mood you're gonna get, and there's always a ridiculous reason why. And it's like, red flag. You're unstable. You're not on an even keel. That's no.
buddy.
Yeah, not good.
Yep.
What do you got, Roxanne?
All right, for me, the first is potential. So building, and I think one of the panelists also hinted at that as well. She explained it. So in my prior relationships past, because I was taught that this is how it should be, so I didn't see anything wrong with, he has this going for him. It's not much. It's, maybe this, but, with time, it could grow into something bigger, right? So I would always give the person a chance who has that much potential, not realizing that I would have to be the one to carry the brunt of the work. So with my last relationship, I was engaged and I called it off. And I wish if I had gone back in time, I would not have helped in terms of, I was there, he had business ideas, and I would be on Microsoft PowerPoint, creating PowerPoint slides, getting everything typing, and also helping him to discuss meetings. And I was not his wife. So I saw potential and I was encouraged, well, you can do this for him. You should help him, sort this out for him. I was encouraged to do that. And knowing what I know now, I would just lay back and, oh, you want to marry? Well, get yourself get yourself first, get yourself ready. And then, it's 2 years or 3 years when you're set and you have a foundation, you have a home, you have, a set job, your savings is in a bunch, then you can call me if I am available. I
That's
would never
right.
have done that, right? So that's the first one. The second one is close to that, in and out of jobs. I was that woman who, oh, well, you're in a job for maybe 6 months, maybe you're not in a job now. Okay, fine. He seems like an honest guy, and he seems like he can, he's someone to build with. That's the word again,
He seemed
build.
like a broke, jobless bum. That's what he seemed like.
Yes, boom,
Mhm.
dusty. So I would actually give, that particular guy a chance. And I wouldn't look at the fact that, okay, he has no emergency fund. Okay,
Mm.
he has no money saved
Tell
like
it.
that. He's
Tell it.
not saving for retirement. Okay, he's not thinking long term. There was no one to say he doesn't have his finances, in terms of, he doesn't have it set. He's not ready for even he's not ready for a girlfriend, even much less a wife. So I would not have done that, and that's a red flag.
Mhm.
The third one, meeting men who want you to show them, oh, you have to show me that you won't hurt me. Show me that you are
Oh,
different.
oh.
And they bring things that the ex did and how she cheated, and she acted like that and she was crazy and
Oh my
so
God.
Mm.
red flag. Run, ladies,
Yes.
run. Do
Yeah.
not allow
Right.
them to do that, because that's emotional manipulation, and they're trying to get into your head, and then you're gonna think, oh, I would never do that to you. So they're the victim, and you're supposed to come now and rescue them from
Mm,
this
mm,
other
Mm.
mm, mm, mm.
woman who tore them
Please.
apart.
I'll be like, what's her phone number so I can get some tips?
That's what
Exactly.
I'm saying. That's what.
For real. Oh
Let's
my
see if her story matches his. You know what I mean. The ex
right.
girlfriend matches what he's saying.
Terrible. They don't tell me that. Do not tell me about some other broad and how
Mm.
she hurt you. Because I'm telling you, oh, is that all she did? Well, let me up the ante.
Mm,
So
mm,
because that
mm.
that was that
They-
was like kindergarten level pain you experienced, bruh. I'm about to give it to you on the PhD level. So
Yeah.
don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Tell me that.
Yeah.
Okay, so anybody got some other tips that you maybe thought of while you were
I got
listening
Yes.
one.
to the
Well,
others? You got some, Felice? Okay.
Yes, when a man asks you for money,
Yes.
Oh,
Oh.
Yes.
testify.
yeah. Well,
that is a
it's
Oh.
red
like
flag.
Yes.
That's a red
red
flag.
flag.
Red
Woo!
flag.
I see we're all in
Yeah.
agreement there.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, don't even ask me for $5.
Yeah, that's what
And
I'm saying.
and
No.
if they're
Yeah.
comfortable doing it, that's really, to
Mm.
me, the issue. They're comfortable. It's like, no, they don't
That's
have
right.
any pride or ego. It's just like, oh, I need you to pay this bill. Oh, I need some money to do. Oh, my car's broke down. Like, really?
No.
That and they don't mind asking you. I think that is like cringe mode on 1,000. Like, I
Oh,
just,
yes. It's
yeah,
like, where is your testosterone? You just a
right.
little bee.
Yep.
I can't
Yeah.
stand the men like
Oh.
that.
But you know what
Yep.
happens? What happens is, women create those problems.
Yep.
Mhm.
We have to be better because of sometimes loneliness and being
Mm.
desperate, that
Mhm.
my grandmother used to say there could be no decent men if there's no decent women. And we have to
Mm.
learn how to raise the bar and say no. A lot of us will say, okay, and then they
Mm-hmm.
think that it's acceptable and they become the prize because
Mm.
we create that. And we
Right.
have to learn how to get back to the basics,
I
Mhm.
agree.
you
I
know.
agree.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
what do you
Saying
guys
no
think
is
about
really.
all this stuff that's going on the internet, this big push for women to be, quote, feminine to
Ah.
get and keep a man?
They need to
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Felice.
I feel this way when it comes to that whole becoming feminine with men. They look at us as being, we have to be a particular way, but maybe they need to be a particular way too. Because if you
Hell yeah.
want me to be a size 7, you need to lose your stomach and work out. So
Tell it.
you have all these ideas of how I supposed to be. Maybe you need to be like that too. And when you become that way, you come see me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get rid of them moves. You know what I hate? You know, dudes that have those hot dog roll pack of hot
Yes.
dogs on the back of their neck.
Mm,
That sends me to Mars.
mm,
I
mm,
can't stand it. Do not let me see that riding
Yeah.
on the neck on the back of your neck. I can't stand
Yeah.
it.
mm, mm, mm.
And it's
I
also for
agree.
me. Oh,
What do you say, Chloe?
for me, it's also kind of like it's rooted in like that idea too of like respectability politics. And it's like, you see how much like 'cause you have those people who are like, well, if you just do this and you just do that and you just do this,
Yep.
you should be fine. But
mhm.
my thing is about these femininity movements is that I'm like, I listen to the channels. I'm not gonna lie, I've been on the channels and I've listened to it, and I'm just kind of like, to me, it just seems like basic, or maybe I'm listening to a different channel altogether, but it's like, I've been this. I didn't need to go to a YouTube channel for somebody to tell me to keep
Right.
a combed head and clean
Absolutely.
fingernails.
Absolutely.
Right. Right.
So to me, it's just kind of like, I don't know, YouTube and social media and the internet in general, I think is a breeding place for people who maybe didn't have certain things
Right.
when they
It's
were
brainwashing.
growing up. And yeah, it's
It's
like
a lot of
there's
brainwashing.
nothing wrong with like tuning in, but I think too, and this is just a general across the board, it's like tune in to it and watch it, but also have like your own assessment of it. It doesn't necessarily mean, well, I watched this, so now I got to go out and buy all the pink shirts at the mall, and I need to go and put on all this
Right.
makeup. Because, like, I
Right.
mean, I don't know. You know,
Wear
it's
high
just,
heels when
it's
you're mopping the
silly.
floor.
Yeah, you
Chloe.
can't, because,
I said wear high heels when you're mopping the floor.
yeah, wear high heels and, you know, cooking thongs. I don't know. To me, it's just
Right.
like, and then all of that, to go through all of that. And as a woman who I guess I consider myself very, very feminine, even before that became a thing on YouTube, that doesn't matter, because there'll be some girl who's a tomboy and she gets just as much play as somebody who's walking around in heels and makeup.
Mm.
So it's
Right.
just kind of like, I don't know. To me, it's just
I think a lot of it
do
is,
you.
there's just a certain segment of society and Black women, because of the religious indoctrination that we have about how we're supposed to be in relationships with men. A lot of women have that focus that they're pitching around trying to figure out what the magic key is to get this man in this
Yes.
relationship
Right.
that they
Right.
think that they are
Yep.
supposed to have.
Yep.
And it becomes this real game where they're giving up their self-esteem and their independent thoughts and everything else in order to model themselves after something that they think is going to make that work. This is
Right.
going to work and it's going to make that happen. And I think it's just that. So they've tried, the other things and it hasn't, quote, worked. And so now they're going to try this femininity thing. They've tried religion. They tried going to church. They tried being a feminist. They tried being silent. They tried being, all the stuff. And so now they're going to try this other thing and see if it helps. If
You
it
know what?
makes this happen.
I want to piggyback off of what you're saying. I watched a bunch of those channels also, and I think the idea of this came from, especially with the Black channels, the Black, women channels that are pushing this. Society sees Black women as masculine and the angry Black woman.
Oh.
So it's like, you
Yeah.
have to be feminine and you have to walk this way and you have to talk like this and you got to dress like that. I think, and so I respect it to a certain degree because I think that the intention of it is, I think they have great intentions. But to me, it's mostly rooted in just kind of being male identified.
Mhm.
It's kind of like,
Yeah.
it all goes back to this is for a man. And of course, anybody who knows me personally knows I don't give a rat's ass about what no man want. I care about what I want. And I might care
That's
about
my
what you
twin
want.
right there.
I might care about what you want later, but right now this is about me. You came into my life, you hit on me, so it makes me think about that that clip that I I can't think of her name. Goodness, I just forgot her name. She played in Boomerang. The older lady, Eartha Kitt. There was a clip going around about her like these last few years, and it was an old clip of her saying, "What am I gonna change my life for? You
Oh,
make
that
me,
outdoor
and I'm gonna
interview.
change my
I saw
life."
that.
Yeah. And so I love that. I fell in love with that. I watched that so much when it first came out. It was just so funny to me. But that's kind of how I feel. If I'm out at Target or something and you hit on me for whatever reason, you came into my life. Why do I need to change anything about me? Try to be more feminine, try to do this and do that for you. You need to prove to me why I should even give you my phone number. Why I should even make eye contact with you in the first place.
What's in it for me?
I be in my own zone. I don't want to be bothered with you, you know. But I understand kind of what they're trying to do, but I just don't like that it seems to be rooted in this is what you need to do to get wifed. This is what you need to do for men to take you seriously or whatever. And it's just like, is that really the end all be all? Because a lot of these women getting wifed and they still get cheated on. These guys still play mind games. People act like marriage is like this holy grail of life, like it's end all be all, and it's not. Like I got engaged Thanksgiving of last year, and we ain't in no rush to get married. I know I'm not. I ain't in no rush to get married. I'm just like, I like my ring. You know, I rock it every day. I love it, whatever. But am I really in a rush to get married? No, not really, because it's not that deep. But for me, it's not. But
What about you, Roxanne? You over there being all silent, taking everything in. What do you think? Have you seen any of those femininity channels?
Yes, I've seen quite a few. I have. I think the brunt of the conversation, though, that we need to have as a Black community is who will teach the boys?
Tell it.
Who will teach the boys? And I don't even mean the men, because, most of the Black men that I come across are spoiled. I'm sorry, but they're damaged goods. Most of the Black men that I've encountered with are damaged. They have psychological issues. Most of them are narcissists, and they are really attached unhealthily to their mothers, and they have codependency issues. But I'm looking at the issue of so you're teaching the women to, add or delete layers so they can appeal to a man, but who will teach the boys how to be men for the girls who were grooming to be ladies?
Right.
So it will always be an imbalance. It will always be an imbalance. And just as how you guys discussed about indoctrination, and Miss Cooper said, the religion didn't work, they tried something else. It's just another effort to, it's like a subtle way to teach women that you're never enough. You have to change this. You need to add this, or else you will not be picked. So it's just another way of saying, be a pick me. Hi, here am I. I'm feminine. I speak this way. I honor my man. The Black man is king. Choose me. No, unless we are serious about schooling our boys, unless our boys are re-socialized to honor a woman, to know how to treat a woman, to first find himself as a man, then it will always be an imbalance. So it really doesn't make any sense, because women are seeing that it for what it is, and they're repelling it, while others gravitate. We probably want a relationship, and nothing is wrong with that, but the core of it, it's faulty.
Right.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
You got some closing comments on that, Denise?
Yes. My friends describe me as a pit bull and a pit bull in a china shop, because I'm very, very, very aggressive, especially since women don't get taken seriously unless we're raising our voice sometimes, or you're just a girl, or you just got cramps, go sit down somewhere and be quiet. And when I feel an injustice, I don't have a problem ripping into you. I have zero problems, male, female, or what. And I'm not like that like every day. I can't wait to fight somebody or argue. I'm not like that. But I'm not going to roll over and play dead just because I'm a girl, quotation marks, and I'm supposed to be quiet. I'm supposed to let you take advantage of me or run all over me, or, whatever the situation is. We have to always prove that we have strength, because people will steamroll all over you. I remember I gave a lady at the hotel, I gave her a $20 bill. She swore up and down I never gave it to her. I said, yes, I did. She said, no, you did not. I said, yes, I did. I know what I gave you. You know, if you just go by what society says and be quiet now, don't be too aggressive because you're acting like
Right.
a man. I
Right.
ain't trying to hear all that because there's men that are a lot more passive than I am. So I'm not trying to hear if
Yeah.
you're aggressive, you're a man.
And
Yep.
So
Yep.
you're not taken seriously in the workforce. Somebody will overtalk you. Someone will take your project and claim it was their idea and all this other. And if you don't open your mouth, it's going to continue to happen to you over and over and over. You're going to get bitter, angry, resentful, and one day you're just going to snap and go psychotic, and everybody's going to be like, you know. I
right.
mean,
You
For
start
real.
you don't.
taking off your high heel, clocking people with it.
Yeah, and I grew up with boys, so I always had to quotation marks prove myself to them. You know what I mean? Like compete with them. Oh, you can't do it. You're just a girl. I'm like, move out the way. I'll show you how it's done. And I may even have to ask them, well, how do I do this? Because I'm not really sure how to do it, but I know I could do it. You know, so I know I could do it, but just show me the ropes. But so you just have to. I grew up never being protected, never having my father in my life, never having a man say, babe, I got this. And when nobody's in your life that's got your back, you're going to have your back because you don't
You
have a
better.
choice.
Yeah.
That's right. You
You
know, if
better.
you're not getting a raise on a job, you've been working there for how many years or whatever, you working overtime, you better talk to your boss. You don't have to get loud, you don't have to get mean, you don't have to wiggle your neck and snap your finger and say, look at here. But you can say, you know, I think we should discuss me, you know, getting a raise. I've worked X amount of overtime. I've been very loyal to you. I've been working here for years. You know, you can say it in a diplomatic way, you know, and there's nothing wrong with speaking up for yourself. You're supposed to.
So let me see, Felice, you have any closing comments on the femininity issue?
I agree with everyone.
Oh, well, here you go. Our politician, Felice for president. I agree with everyone. Democrats, Republicans, Free Party, everybody. Now that's good. You know, and for me, I have to say this. I also grew up with brothers, and I did have a pretty close relationship with my crazy daddy. And I mean, my mother would put me in little dresses and stuff like that. And I mean, she tried, but I want to keep up with my brother. So that meant taking that stuff off because you got a little dress on. You can't be showing your little underpants. You got to constantly put, you know
Exactly.
what I mean? It was just a
Right.
bother. So I go
Yeah.
put on my jeans and stuff and I go run around with them. So as growing up though, I saw the girls who was, wearing makeup and doing all the stuff. They're constantly in the mirror. They have their hair is perfectly coiffed and their nails all done and this and that. I look like a bum. But you know what? I used to always have the most guys around me. And the reason was, I think in retrospect, because they were comfortable. They didn't have to pretend to be anything. I would, we playing, I sock them in the shoulder and, we doing all this stuff. And it was just like a friend. And so
Right.
you get a relationship formed by the basis of friendship. So by the time I did, get girlied up and put on some makeup or something, they'd be like, well, I've never seen you look like that. And then I go back to being what I was. And I'm still that same way now. I'm not going to be going through all these changes and wearing high heels. What for? Those things hurt. Those hurt my feet. I have some, you know what they do? They sit there on my shoe shelf and I look at them and I
I
imagine
know.
myself in them
Right.
and then I put them back.
Exactly. Well, you know, another thing, Deb, and this was like really weird, and I'm a combination of girly girl and tomboy. I could be either or because I like to hike, I like to go kayaking. I'm very boyish and like tomboyish, I should say. And if I get dirty, so what? That's what soap's for. It's not a big deal.
Exactly.
But I went camping one time on the weekend. You know, me and some friends went camping, and I'm not going to wear makeup. I might wear lip gloss if we're taking pictures, but that's as far as it's going to go because I'm in the woods. And I go into the restroom, and the women are like full face makeup, hair, got their and I'm like, we have bears in Missouri. I'm like, who are they trying to get pretty for? The bears before you get eaten, you look attractive. I mean,
That makeup makes you less aerodynamic. You need to take that stuff off so you can run faster. Oh my God, these people are just too much. But you guys, as we wind down the show, because I think everyone is just so overwhelmed by you guys. When this is up, you can go back and read the comments. They're giving you lots of kudos and prompts. So you guys are doing really well. I would like to close this out by asking you to share, I don't know, 2 to 5 things that you wish you had been taught about women, love, life, relationships, anything that's, along those lines that's important to you. 2 to 5 things that you would feel that, your life would have been a lot different had you known those things. So let's start with you, Joyce.
Oh goodness, because I'm sitting here thinking like I feel like my mom taught me so much. But I guess I would say she taught me a lot about women. The only true friend you'll ever have is God, that type of thing. Don't ever tell, women your business if you don't want something to get out, because as soon as they get mad at you, they're gonna tell, just stuff like that. So I think she gave me the raw kind of Debbie Downerish side of everything. Maybe I probably would have wanted to learn how to be more trusting of people, if that makes sense. Because she kind of like, it was like, you got to watch out for this. You got to people are this, people are going to do that. Men are like this. Society is like that. And it was almost like, yeah, okay, she put me up on game about a lot of stuff, but I got like tough because of all of that. And I think I might exude some softness, but maybe I do, maybe I don't. But I think I would have wanted to learn how to be more trusting of people, instead of always looking like for what am I trying to say? Instead of always looking at the negative side or to watch out for, like how to be more I guess open to people, because I'm very, very closed off for the most part. As I always say, I don't do high maintenance friendships. I always say that. But I kind of want to, as I get older, I kind of want to change that mindset, and I kind of want to be more dependable to certain people. Of course, people who I think deserve it. But
Right.
yeah, I'm so like, nope, I don't do high maintenance friendship. Don't call me at 2:00 in the morning because I'm not coming. But if it's somebody that's actually my friend, I will, because I would get up at 3:00 in the morning and come an hour away to get you if you stranded, But I just kind of want to open up and be more accepting of people. You know what? I don't know if you get.
So it sounds like, I'm just summing up what you're saying. It sounds like you wish that along with the information that we were given about what to watch out for and how to protect yourself, that you'd be given an equal amount of information about how to say, okay, well, this person's cool, and this is the kind of person that you do want in your life, and that you should be open to these opportunities to have that kind of friends and relationships.
Right.
But you only got the negative side.
Yep,
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's. I might think of something. You can go.
Okay. Well, let's get Felice on here, our politician.
I would say to learn how to walk into love and not jump into love or fall into love. Walk into love, because we believe and we are taught that, you know what, I fell in love. No, you walk into love. And when you walk into love, you are aware of what you're seeing, and then you can make the decisions to say if this is something that you want to do. Because when you jump into things, it's like jumping into hot water. You just like eager to get into it. But yes, one is to walk into love. Another one is to date to collect data. That's what dating is about. Sometimes we don't collect our data when we date. We just go, that's my husband, or that's who I'm going to be with, and we give too much of ourselves. And sometimes we have to learn how to be quiet and listen. We talk too much.
Girl, they testify. I be constantly on women about that. Stop running your mouth. You tell too much of your business to these men.
Absolutely. Right. And if you learn how to not talk so much, you'll hear a lot. Definitely. And another thing for our women that are my age or older, just realize that there's no such thing as a biological clock. That's craziness.
No, it's not.
It really isn't. I tell people all the time, when my man told me, oh, your biological clock, I said, sweetie, as long as my clock is ticking, I have time. And we have time because we have seasons in our life where it may not be right now in my 40s. I may meet someone in my 60s. Who knows? It happens because I walked into love.
There you go.
So, I approach things in that way too. And also close your legs. Close your legs. Don't give up your goods.
Yeah, even up to these miscellaneous, ooh, girl, and this is the thing that really pisses me off. So then you do it right, and they can't even lay pipe right. Then you just
Right.
be mad.
She said miscellaneous.
So then you like, does it count? If it's terrible, does it even count?
No, it's just like a tree falling in the woods. If no one's there to hear it, did it make a
Did
sound?
it make any noise? Right.
Exactly.
That's hard.
I tell you what, the ones we all can relate to this, the ones that brag the most, I'll do this to you, I'll do that to you,
Oh,
they can't do nothing. The ones that are quiet and laid back and almost shy about their ability, those are the ones you'd be afraid of.
Mm-mm.
I totally agree.
No comment.
No, I agree. I agree with her.
No comment. Okay, come on here, Roxanne. What you got to say? 2 or 3, 2 to maximum of
so-
5, because we want to, I don't want to keep you guys here forever. Of things that
Okay.
you wish that someone had told you about women, about love and relationships, about men, or life in general.
All right. I have 5. Am I permitted to share 5?
Sure.
All right. So the first one is I wish they told me to take some time to get to know myself. I wish they told me to build a real relationship with myself in order to know what it is that I want, who I am. And I wish they told me as well to, instead of asking, am I worthy of this person? Am I worthy of that friendship? Turn it around and say, is that friend worthy of me? Is this person worthy of me? Is this thing that I want worthy of my time? Is it worthy of my purpose? So that's one.
Okay.
2, I wish they told me that love is not to be found outside of me. I shouldn't go looking for love in people or in things or in situations. I wish they told me that love is supposed to be cultivated within me because love is within. And it's just like a flame. When you fan that flame, it burns brightly. And that's what I'm learning now. The third one, I wish they told me that it was important for me to exercise and to have a good diet. Nobody told me that. I learned that on my own. And when I started exercising and, having a healthy diet, I was, discouraged. And other persons who saw what I was doing, they discouraged their daughters from following what I was doing. They were saying, well, she's going to have gas, don't follow what she's doing. It's unhealthy. Nothing is wrong with her weight. But I was overweight as a child because it's a lot of rice. And in Jamaica here, we serve a lot of rice with maybe 2 servings of meat and just a little tubs of vegetables, So I realized that I was overweight and I was working out at maybe 13 years old, and other mothers were looking on and they were discouraging their daughters to do not do that. You are okay, you are fine. And I continued, and now they're the ones who are asking, what do you eat? How do you exercise your back muscles? And so that's 4. The last one, I wish they told me to never, ever, ever settle for less than what I deserve. Don't settle for any little thing. Don't settle for any little person. And it's okay to be alone too. It's okay to be alone. You're not going to die. And just take the time to travel and look at the finer things in life. And, it's okay to put yourself first. So
Absolutely. So those are good. Thank you, Roxanne. Chloe, do you have some things you'd want to wish that you knew?
I wish I had listened. I wish that they would have been like, listen and then listen some more, because I think they gave some really good advice. My grandmother and mother, they would be like, for instance, my grandmother, she found out that I was on birth control at a certain point in my teens. And she would be like, don't tell anybody that you are, involved with, that you're on this. Be mindful of the way that men act and things of that nature. Just little things here and there. And also, don't be so wrapped up in, maybe I guess one thing, like thinking about this question before the call, don't be so like hell bent on trying to find this like fairy tale love. Look for somebody who's going to be, who respects you. Don't look for like, I'm not saying don't look for love, but look for respect.
Right.
Look for respect and listen to what we have to say, because we've been through a lot and we don't want you to go through that.
Right.
And that's what I would say. Cause I feel like I got some good cards dealt. I got a couple of bad cards dealt, but when it comes to them and the advice that they gave, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I want to share something, you know what, that made me listen? When I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, my grandmother told me a story about herself when she was my age. And she grew up in Egypt, Mississippi. And she said how she was fishing with her mother, so that would have been my great grandmother, at some riverbank or something, and she was playing. And she said, her mother said, Alilu, that was her name. Alilu, I want you to stand straight up and I want you to walk slowly towards mommy. And she did exactly what her mother said, exactly what her mother said her to do it. By doing that, by being the obedient child, it saved her from getting bitten by a cottonmouth snake. They was out in the middle of nowhere. She would have died. That just would have been the end of her. Then my mother wouldn't have been here, neither would I. And she told me that story, and it made such an impression on me because, you know, as a kid, you get into this thing, you don't want to listen. You know everything. You know everything. Why? Why I got to do that? You want to, you know, flip around and do all this kind of stuff. All of those things, had they been done in that moment, would have killed my grandmother. But what she did exactly what her mother said, exactly the way she said it at the exact time that her mother said to do it. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the case in everything in our lives, but it made a huge impression on me to remind me that as the kid, I don't know nothing. Okay, I'm listening to the adults who have been there and done that and came out on the other side. They can save me from getting bit by a cottonmouth snake.
Yep.
And
And
you know, so that's the perspective that I put things in. So even if I don't necessarily always do things that the elders, you know, the way that they say it, I always listen and seriously give what they say some consideration. I always think about what they said and how, if any aspect of that could apply to what's going on to me and save my butt, you know. And I think that's a respect thing. But I just thought I would share that because that story, I'm telling you, it changed my life. Because I know my grandmother was a hard-headed person. And if she could do that, then, and it saved her, then I said, okay, well, I guess I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I could do that.
Yeah, especially if it's like really coming from a place of love. And it's like, because sometimes I've heard people who it's like they've had family members who might have been not as kind or maybe jealous of.
Right.
But as far as like, as my story, it's like that's all from a place of love. Like, if to younger people, I mean, I guess even people younger than me that are watching this, it's like, if people, those family members really love you and they've been there for you and they tell you something and they give you a word of advice, keep those things in mind. Even as sometimes when I didn't listen, there would be some things where it was like, gosh, like, I'm glad I didn't have to encounter this, because my mom told me about this story and now I know not to do this. Like, I wasn't allowed to date as a teenager unless it was a group date. Because there were stories about how people would lock you up in a room and wouldn't let you leave and all this crazy stuff. So it's like, you know, if the people love you and you know that they love you, know, then listen to what they have to say. They're not just saying it to breathe hot air. They're not, you know.
That's right.
So I want to give each of you an opportunity to, you know, close out your interview with some words of wisdom, or what you've learned since you've been on the channel or learned about life in general that you want to share.
Wow.
I know it's like this woman asked these hard questions.
No,
Okay,
I
right,
think
you
I
got
can
all at once.
for those of us that didn't have parents and we didn't have a healthy life, and there's common sense things, common sense things we should have been taught about ourselves, loving ourselves, relationship. Boys are usually only after one thing. Things that's just basic common sense that those of us that were in an abusive home, we didn't get that. We weren't taught. We weren't taught about boundaries. We weren't taught about self-love. We weren't taught basic things. And your platform is phenomenal because every age can relate to you. Everybody can understand what you're saying. You say it in such a concise way that, and you're teaching us things that a lot of us should have learned a long time ago, but it's never too late. As long as you've got breath in your body, you could always learn something.
Right.
And I think I could safely speak for all of us when I say we're eternally grateful, because one of the things that sticks out in my mind that I obviously wasn't taught, you mentioned about critical thinking in one of your videos. You said y'all have got to have critical thinking. If I do this, what will happen next? And if that happens, what happens after that? Instead of just falling into the moment and getting lost in the moment, or running after your emotions and your heart and just jumping into the crocodile pit, hoping you don't get bit. You're actually thinking, okay, if I get with this person, red flags are everywhere. If I get with them, what's going to happen?
That video is called "And Then What?"
And then what? Yeah, critical thought process is so crucial. I wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught self-love. I wasn't taught look out for yourself and take care of yourself first. You don't bend over backwards for other people. I wasn't taught don't have the nice disease, because when you have the nice disease and you're nice to everybody, a lot of people see sucker written across your forehead.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Even your so-called friends.
Roxanne, what do you got to say?
All right. So with regards to what I have to say, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on this platform. It has been a pleasure. I've learned so much, and I have met some wonderful women, great advice as well. All right, so I'm learning. So what I have to say is simple. Just be true to yourself. Find out who you are. Be true to yourself as a woman. Be kind to yourself and be compassionate. That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That.
Chloe?
I would say also, just to kind of piggyback off of what's been said, be kind to yourself, listen to your intuition, focus on yourself and what you want. And if your goal is to be in a relationship or be married, that person or the right person will come along, instead of trying to just jump into any and everything. And just, that's all I really have. I'm kind of like lost for words.
Okay. No, that's all right. You're the baby of the group. So we know you still got a lot of growing to do, but I appreciate your contributions. Joyce, what do you have to say?
I would say follow your gut instinct, because I really think that our gut instincts usually don't lead us wrong. I think we confuse our gut instincts with our mind, and sometimes you can take your heart with you, but you got to take your mind along with you. So you got to just kind of think for yourself. And if you are surrounded by people who may be jealous of you or who may give you this, advice where it's going to be detrimental to your future or whatever, just tune into Deb's channel, because she's not going to steer you wrong. If you don't have anybody else, you got Deb. I'm serious. Like, you got Deb. She's not going to steer you wrong. She doesn't have any bias, any motive. Yeah. She's going to tell it to you like it is. And because I know a lot of people don't have like Auntie Debs. They don't have grandmothers. Right. They don't have people to really teach them this stuff. So I would say this is definitely a safe place. I mean, she has so many videos on like every topic in the world. So come here and also just follow your heart and just kind of see yourself as a flower. Flowers need to be watered. They need sunlight. They need to be taken care of. Don't let people come, picking at you. You just really gotta just really, as cliche as it sounds, like really love yourself, like love everything about you, flaws, the good things, point out good things that you love about yourself, even if it's just one thing, and then build on that. And I think if you do that, like just stuff will just open up without you even thinking about it. So just be happy and be true to who you are. That's it.
Thanks, Joyce. And Felice?
Thank you for having me on this panel. I truly appreciate it. I would like to say, love yourself, be true to self, and don't lead on your emotions. Think about things before you move forward on relationships, just in life. Sometimes the emotions, the heart is not meant to think, it's to love. So if you really use your mind, and especially with programs like you have, Deb, it's absolutely amazing for young women and women of my age, because sometimes we don't know and we need to know. And you have opened my eyes to a whole lot of things that I didn't even know, like narcissists. I never knew what that meant until I started listening to your channel, and I was like, that's what he was. Lord have mercy. However, yeah, and also my grandmother, before she left here, she told me some things days before, months before, weeks before, and I didn't know what that meant. She said, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. The end of the day, all you have is you. And us as women, we have to learn how to take care of ourselves and not do too much. Sometimes we do too much for other people, for men, and we have to learn how that it's okay if we don't do too much. We're women, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, sit
Thank
down and
you.
cross your legs and be like, oh no, I couldn't possibly. I might break a nail or something.
Thank you.
I fully agree. More women need to learn how to say no. Well, I had muted everybody's mics while I took turns through here, but I'm unmuting everyone so that you can um, well, you can hear this and respond to it whatever way you want to. I want to thank each and every one of you for, agreeing to participate in this. You made some very, very powerful statements. The education and experience that you have, we're able to transmute that to the listeners who are, a lot of them are younger or they're getting back into the dating scene after divorce or breakup of a long-term relationship. They may be struggling because of all this COVID stuff. That's impacted a lot of people's self-esteem as well. So I think that with all of our voices, it will help a lot of people. And I want to thank you personally and for the channel. Okay. It's not easy to give up some hours of your lifetime to some complete stranger.
You don't
Thanks,
feel like a
Deb.
stranger.
You're not a stranger.
Not a
No.
stranger.
She's everybody's aunt.
Oh, yeah, that's what I am, huh?
Right.
Auntie Deb. All right, you guys. Well, thank you. I'm going to have this, actually, I guess it's recorded video. It'll be on YouTube. So I don't have to really do anything. I just
Awesome.
yeah. So it should be processed and for everybody to look at very, very shortly. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Deb.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
No
Thank you, ladies.
problem. Okay, let me I have a couple of things to do here right quick before I close out the show. Hold on. Okay. What I wanted to do is once again, thank you guys for coming and for who was the one who suggested this show? I forgot who that was, but it came together very quickly, and all the participants were excellent. All the people, everybody who sent in an application for it, I still have it. We may do this again. So the people who submitted theirs and who are on the alternate list, you may still get a turn if we decide to do this one more time. But I hope that this is valuable for you and that, you guys can take this, understand that you're not the only one going through these things. All the women have been through it before you. You're in their 30s and 40s, these young ladies in their 20s and telling you what it's like for them. So each one of us, no matter where you are, you know more than some other people do. And you can serve as a mentor and a teacher for them on the things that you know well. The things that you don't know, you, of course, will be mentored and tutored by someone else. All of you have me. So if you have any questions about what we discussed in this video, you can either post them underneath the video once it's processed and online, or you can submit an advice question if it's more personal and you don't want it, to be associated with your name or whatever. The advice column on this channel is anonymous. So you just submit it on the form. The link rather to the advice submission form is in the show description down below. Just hit that little arrow and expand it, and you'll see all the text for the show. It includes the Patreon link and Any of you want to do a Cash App link or anything, donation rather, those links are there too. And I, want to thank everybody for coming. Love you right back. This is the best audience ever, best guests as well. So you guys take care, okay? And I'll see you on Tuesday for Tuesday advice. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.